Have you ever wondered what happens when an ancient 5,000-year-old spiritual tradition meets the complex organizational needs of the 21st century? It is a fascinating collision of ancestral wisdom and modern efficiency.
It really is, Alex. We are looking at the Orisha Divine Council, or ODC, which is essentially creating a global blueprint for how indigenous spirituality can scale without losing its soul. It is quite a sophisticated model.
I mean, when I think of the Orisha, I usually think of individual shrines or localized communities in places like Nigeria or Brazil. But this structure, Selena, it looks more like a global NGO or even a government.
Exactly. The ODC is dedicated to preserving and advancing the sacred wisdom of the Orisha through a very clear hierarchical structure. They are bridging the gap between the divine and humanity through rituals, education, and community service.
Let's talk about those core values first, because they set the stage. They mention divine connection and ancestral reverence, which makes sense, but then they bring in balance and justice. That feels very grounded.
It is fundamental to the Yoruba worldview, Alex. Balance, or Iwa Pele, good character, is at the heart of it. The organization wants to ensure spiritual integrity in every decision, which is why they have such a robust leadership hierarchy.
The hierarchy starts with the Supreme Divine Circle. They have a council of 16 Orisha high priests. Why 16? That number seems very specific in this tradition, right?
Oh, 16 is highly significant, Alex. In Ifa divination, there are 16 principal Odu, or signs. These 16 priests are the supreme elders, each specializing in a major Orisha like Ogun for technology, or Yamoja for the oceans.
So they aren't just religious leaders, they're like subject matter experts for different forces of nature. That is a wild way to think about governance, having a minister of warfare and technology who is also a priest of Ogun.
Honestly, it is a brilliant way to integrate spiritual principles into daily life. These priests oversee the preservation of sacred rituals and ensure that the organization's policies align with divine law. They are the ultimate advisory authority.
Below them, we have the High Orisha Council, which handles the executive leadership. You have the Grand Chief Oluwo. Is that position similar to a pope or a chief high priest?
In a sense, yes. The Grand Chief Oluwo is the supreme spiritual leader of the entire organization, but he is supported by the Ialawo and Babalawo, the mothers and fathers of secrets, who are the primary diviners.
I love the idea of having diviners in the executive branch. It's like saying, before we make a budget decision, let's consult the spiritual blueprint of the universe. It adds a layer of reflection you don't see in secular groups.
It really does. And then you have the Chief Oba Orisha, who acts as a sort of spiritual diplomat for global interfaith dialogues. It's about making sure the Orisha faith has a seat at the table with other major world religions.
Then we move into the regional councils. This is where it gets really interesting because they have Obas, or chiefs for specific domains. Like the Oba Ogun for justice and technology, or the Oba Osun for love and fertility.
Right? These regional chiefs govern spiritual hubs. Imagine a regional center in West Africa or South America that isn't just a temple, but an educational center and a shrine all in one. It's a localized command center.
Wait, let's look at where these councils are located. They've picked some very strategic spots. Nigeria and Benin make sense as the ancestral heartlands, but they also have hubs in places like Havana, Salvador, and New York City.
Those locations track the history of the African diaspora, Alex. Salvador Bahia is the heart of Candomblé. Havana is the key for Lukumi. These places kept the traditions alive during incredibly difficult times, so they are spiritual powerhouses.
It's like they are mapping the spiritual geography of the world. Even London and Madrid are included for their diasporic communities. But I noticed they're also looking at Singapore and Dubai. That's a massive expansion.
It really shows the global ambition of the ODC. They aren't just looking backward at history, they are looking at where people are moving today. Orisha spirituality is becoming a global phenomenon, not just a regional one.
Let's talk about the Tnti initiative and the chosen ones. This sounds like a specialized branch of the organization. What is the goal there?
The TNT initiative is really about creating a detailed hierarchical structure for these regional councils. It's the operational backbone. It ensures that decision-making is efficient and that every chosen one has the support they need.
I was looking at the roles in the TNT structure. They have a chief of operations, a finance director, and even a security director. Selena, this sounds like they are preparing for some serious institutional work.
They are. You can't run a global spiritual movement on good vibes alone. You need logistics, you need procurement, and you definitely need media and public relations to manage how the tradition is represented to the world.
It's a smart move. Often, indigenous traditions are misrepresented or exploited. By having their own media and public relations director, they can control their own narrative and protect their sacred knowledge.
Exactly. And the hierarchy goes all the way down to the district councils and local hubs. This ensures that a person in a small town has the same access to quality spiritual guidance as someone in a major HQ city.
So if I'm a newcomer, an aleo, as they call it, where do I fit in? How does a regular person interact with this massive global structure?
Well, you'd start at a local hub. These are the community engagement centers. You'd meet with local representatives and perhaps training and spiritual advisors who can help you understand your own divine alignment.
I like that term, divine alignment. It sounds less like obeying rules and more like finding your place in the natural order. Is that what the Orisha are really about?
Spot on, Alex. The Orisha are forces of nature, gravity, the ocean, the wind, the forge. Aligning with them means understanding the forces that govern your own life and character. It's very personal, yet very universal.
The ODC also has these specialized divisions. The Orisha Healing and Herbal Medicine Division caught my eye. They aren't just doing prayers, they are working with traditional remedies.
Yoruba medicine is incredibly rich, Alex. They have a deep knowledge of botany and psychology. By institutionalizing this, the ODC can ensure that these healing practices are preserved and practiced safely.
It feels like a holistic approach to life. You have the Divination and Prophecy Division for guidance, the Cultural Preservation for language and music, and then the healing for the body. It's a full ecosystem.
And don't forget the community outreach and global missionary work. They are advocating for social justice. In many ways, the Orisha tradition has always been a tool for empowerment and resistance against oppression.
That's a powerful point. When you look at the history of the diaspora, the Orisha were what kept people's spirits alive during slavery. Now that same energy is being organized into a global force for good.
It's an evolution of that survival instinct into a leadership model. They are using the same principles of the Egbe, the spiritual societies, but scaling them up for a world that is more connected than ever.
Let's dive deeper into the roles of the specific Orishas within the regional councils. For example, why would the Oba Ogun be the chief of warfare, justice, and technology? That seems like a strange mix.
Well, think about what Ogun represents. He is the spirit of iron and tools. In the past, that meant the plow and the sword. Today, it means the computer chip, the skyscraper, and the legal system.
Wait, so Ogun is in the software I use? That's a fascinating way to look at technology. It's not just a tool. It has a spiritual weight to it.
Exactly. If you use technology to create, you are working with Ogun's energy. If you use it to destroy, you are still in his realm, but perhaps out of balance. The Oba Ogun ensures that technology and justice are used ethically.
And then you have the Oba Osun. She's often associated with love and beauty, but here she's also linked to fertility and rivers. How does that translate into a regional council role?
Osun is about the sweetness of life, but also the flow of resources. A regional council under Osun might focus on women's empowerment, environmental protection of waterways, and fostering community harmony. It's about the soft power that holds society together.
It's like each regional council becomes a reflection of that Orisha's personality. A Sango-led council might be more focused on leadership and social transformation, while an Obatala-led one would focus on ethics, purity, and wisdom.
Precisely. This allows for a diversity of leadership styles within one organization. You don't have a one-size-fits-all approach. You have different regions leaning into different spiritual strengths depending on what the community needs.
I'm curious about the Council of Elders at the regional level. They have up to 7 experienced chosen ones. What is their specific job compared to the regional director?
The director is the doer, the one managing the day-to-day operations. The elders are the check. They ensure that the director doesn't stray from the spiritual and ethical mission. They provide that long-term perspective.
It's like a board of directors, but with a focus on spiritual alignment. I wonder how they handle disagreements. If the finance director wants to invest in one thing, but the elders feel it's spiritually off, who wins?
In this system, spiritual integrity usually takes precedence. The goal is iwa pele. Unni, remember? If an action compromises the character of the organization or the tradition, it's considered a failure, no matter how much money it makes.
That is such a countercultural idea in our modern world. Most organizations prioritize efficiency and profit above everything. Here they are saying that character and balance are the actual metrics of success.
It really challenges our assumptions about what effective management looks like. The ODC is betting that by prioritizing the spiritual health of the community, the logistical and financial health will follow naturally.
Let's look at the geographical distribution again. Why is Geneva, Switzerland, the HQ for Europe? That feels very international organization and less traditional Orisha.
Geneva is a strategic choice, Alex. It's a hub for international law and human rights. By being there, the ODC can more easily engage with global bodies like the UN to advocate for the rights of indigenous practitioners worldwide.
Ah, I see. And Singapore for Asia? That's a massive financial and technological hub. It seems like they are placing their HQs in cities that represent the power centers of the modern world.
Exactly. They are putting the wisdom of the Orisha where the world's decisions are being made. It's not about hiding in the forest. It's about being in the heart of the city, influencing the future.
It's a bold vision, but I have to ask, Selena, isn't there a risk of this becoming too bureaucratic? Like, does the spirit of the Orisha get lost in all these committees and finance directors?
That is always the danger with any large organization, Alex. But the ODC tries to mitigate that through the local hubs. The focus is always on the Abarisha, the dedicated follower, and their personal journey.
So the hierarchy exists to serve the individual's spiritual growth, not the other way around. It's like a support structure that keeps the lights on so the rituals can happen.
Right. Think of it like a trellis for a vine. The trellis isn't the plant, but without it, the vine can't grow toward the sun as effectively. The structure supports the spiritual life of the community.
I'm also interested in the Ayawo, the initiates in training. The ODC seems to have a very structured rites of passage program. It's not just show up and you're in.
Not at all. Priesthood in the Orisha tradition is a massive responsibility. You are essentially becoming a vessel for a divine force. The Iyawo period is a year of intense learning, humility, and transformation.
It sounds like a spiritual internship. You are learning the language, the chants, the herbs, and the protocols. By the time you become an Orisha, you really know your stuff.
And the regional councils ensure that this training is consistent. You don't want a situation where someone in one city is being taught something completely different from someone in another. It maintains the integrity of the lineage.
This leads us to the Cultural and Linguistic Preservation Division. They are protecting the Yoruba language. Why is the language so central to the practice?
In the Orisha tradition, words have power. Ace, the sacred chants and prayers are in Yoruba because the sounds themselves are believed to carry a specific vibration that connects us to the Orisha.
So translating it into English might lose the frequency of the prayer. It's like trying to play a symphony on a different set of instruments that don't have the right notes.
That's a great analogy, Alex. The language is the instrument. By preserving Yoruba, the ODC is keeping the music of the ancestors alive in its purest form. It's a vital link to the past.
It's amazing to see how they're using modern tools to protect that past. They probably have digital archives of chants and mobile apps for learning Yoruba. It's the ultimate old meets new scenario.
And that's the beauty of it. They aren't afraid of the modern world. They are using it to build a celestial network of divine management. Each region acts as a guardian of its territory.
I keep coming back to that phrase, divine management. It sounds so paradoxical. Management is usually so dry, and divine is so, well, divine. But they are making it work.
It's about bringing order to the spiritual realm so that it can manifest effectively in the physical realm. If the spirit is the water, the management is the pipe that brings it to your house.
Let's talk about the regional security director role. That sounds a bit intense for a spiritual group. Why would they need a security director?
You have to remember, Alex, that Orisha practitioners have faced, and still face, persecution in many parts of the world. Shrines have been attacked, and practitioners have been marginalized.
Right, I forgot about that. So the security director isn't just about bodyguards. It's about protecting sacred land and ensuring the safety of people during major festivals.
Exactly. It's about creating a safe space for people to practice their faith without fear. It's another way the organization takes its responsibility toward its members very seriously.
It's a very proactive stance. Instead of being victims of circumstance, they are building their own systems of protection and advocacy. It's very empowering.
Empowerment is one of their core values, after all. They want to provide spiritual enlightenment, healing, and prosperity to all their adherents. You can't have prosperity if you don't have safety and structure.
We've talked a lot about the what and the how, but let's talk about the why. Why is this happening now? Why is the Orisha Divine Council rising to this level of organization today?
I think it's because the world is in a state of crisis, Alex. People are looking for deeper connections to nature and their ancestors. They want a spirituality that is both ancient and relevant.
And they want something that actually works in the real world. A structure like the ODC provides a sense of belonging and a clear path for growth in a world that often feels chaotic and disconnected.
Precisely. It offers a way to be global and local at the same time. You are part of a massive international network, but your primary experience is with your local hub and your community.
It's a fascinating case study in how tradition can evolve. It's not about changing the core beliefs, but about changing the packaging and the delivery system to fit the modern age.
And that is how traditions survive, Alex. They don't survive by staying static. They survive by being dynamic and adapting to new environments while keeping their roots deep in the soil.
I'm looking at the benefits section of the Tnti structure. Efficient decision-making and localized leadership. It's like they've taken the best of corporate management and combined it with spiritual wisdom.
It really is the Tnti. It's explosive in its potential to transform how we think about religious organizations. They are creating a living example of divine governance in action.
Wait, let's talk about the Regional Human Resource and Training Director. That sounds so corporate. What does HR look like in a temple?
Think of it as spiritual development. Their job is to identify the talents and skills of the chosen ones and make sure they are in the right roles. If someone is a great healer, they shouldn't be stuck doing the accounting.
That makes so much sense. It's about Dara, finding your purpose. HR in this context is about helping people find their divine calling within the organization.
Exactly. It's human resources in the truest sense, seeing humans as a sacred resource and helping them flourish. It's a very high-level way of looking at community management.
I love the idea of the divination chambers being part of the educational initiatives. It's not just a private reading. It's a place of learning and insight for the whole community.
It becomes a library of wisdom. When people bring their problems to the divination table, they aren't just getting answers. They are learning about the archetypes and the patterns of life.
It's like a group therapy session mixed with a philosophy class and a spiritual consultation. I can see why people would find that incredibly valuable in today's world.
And the regional councils make sure those chambers are staffed by highly trained and ethical diviners. It protects the seekers from spiritual charlatans who might try to exploit them.
That's a huge point. By having a brand like the ODC, you know that if you go to an ODC-affiliated temple, there's a standard of conduct and a level of expertise you can trust.
It builds spiritual capital. It creates a foundation of trust that allows the community to grow and take on bigger projects, like building schools or clinics.
Which they are doing. The Orisha Healing and Herbal Medicine Division is already working on traditional remedies. Imagine a future where we have ODC-run wellness centers that integrate modern science with ancient herbalism.
That is the dream, Alex. A truly integrated world where we don't have to choose between modern and traditional. We can have the best of both worlds, guided by the wisdom of the Orisha.
It feels like we are witnessing the birth of a new kind of global institution. It's not just a church, it's not just a charity, it's a whole new way of organizing human potential.
It really is. The regional councils are the spiritual nerve centers that keep the whole thing connected. They are the guardians of the territory and the bridges to the future.
So, Selena, if you had to give one big takeaway for our listeners about the Orisha Divine Council, what would it be?
I'd say the takeaway is that structure doesn't have to be the enemy of spirit. In fact, a well-designed structure can actually liberate the spirit to do its best work in the world.
That is a powerful aha moment. We often think of organized religion as something that kills the spirit, but the ODC is trying to prove that organization can actually nourish the spirit.
Exactly. When the management is divine, it's not about control, it's about alignment. It's about making sure the voice of the Orisha is heard and enacted in every ritual and every gathering.
It's about restoring harmony between nature, spirit, and society. And in a world that feels so out of harmony, that is a message that really resonates.
It's a vision of a world where we are all chosen ones in our own way, called to align with the divine forces that govern our lives and our planet.
I'm thinking about the Oba Sango, the Lord of Lightning and Kingship. His role in the councils is about strength and leadership. In a way, the whole ODC structure is an expression of Sango's energy, isn't it?
That is a brilliant observation, Alex. Sango is the king who brought order and justice to his people. The ODC is doing the same thing on a global scale, taking the lightning of spiritual power and channeling it into the structure of a global organization.
It's like taking a raw force of nature and building a power plant around it. You aren't changing the lightning, you're just making it useful for everyone.
And that's why they have the regional logistics and procurement director. You need someone to make sure the power plant has the parts it needs to keep running.
I love how we keep coming back to these corporate titles. It's so funny to imagine a regional finance director for the Lord of Lightning, but it's actually incredibly practical.
It's the ultimate form of respect. It's saying, this tradition is so important that we are going to use the very best tools available to us to manage it and protect it.
It's not just a hobby or a weekend thing, it's a global mission. And the Continental High Chosen Overseers are the ones making sure that mission stays on track across entire continents.
Can you imagine the Continental Advisory Board meetings? You have representatives from all over South America or Africa coming together to discuss the spiritual health of their region. That is a massive level of collaboration.
It's a level of unity that we rarely see in any field, let alone spirituality. It's a testament to the power of the Orisha to bring people together across borders and cultures.
And the ODC is the vessel for that unity. It's the celestial network we were talking about. It's a living, breathing organism that is growing and adapting every day.
I'm also struck by the regional media and public relations director again. In the past, Orisha traditions were often shrouded in secrecy to protect them. Now they are stepping into the light.
It's a shift from survival mode to leadership mode. They are no longer just trying to exist. They are trying to lead and to offer their wisdom to a world that desperately needs it.
It's like the Orisha are saying, okay, we've been here for thousands of years, but now it's time to take this global. We have something to say about how the world should be run.
And they are saying it through the structure of the ODC. They are saying that governance should be balanced, that justice should be spiritual, and that community should be at the heart of everything.
It's a powerful message, and it's being delivered through a network of temples, hubs, and councils that span the entire globe. From New York to Singapore, the voice of the Orisha is being heard.
And it's not just being heard, it's being enacted. Every ritual, every healing session, every community project is an enactment of that divine wisdom. It's spirituality in action.
I think about the Aborisha, those committed devotees who aren't necessarily priests, but are dedicated followers. They are the heart of the community. How does this structure benefit them specifically?
For the Aborisha, this structure provides a clear path of growth. They aren't just wandering in the dark. They have mentors, they have classes, and they have a community that supports them.
It's like having a spiritual roadmap. You know where you are, you know where you're going, and you know who to ask for help along the way. That's a huge comfort.
And you know that the guidance you're getting is part of a verified ancient tradition. You're not just getting someone's opinion. You're getting the wisdom of the ancestors, filtered through a rigorous system of training.
That rigorous system is what the ODC is all about. It's about quality control for the soul. It ensures that the divine connection is as clear and pure as possible.
Which is exactly what Iwa Pele, good character, is all about. It's about being a clear vessel for the divine, The ODC structure is just a way to help all of us become better vessels.
It's a beautiful vision, Selena. It's been so eye-opening to see how this ancient tradition is organizing itself for the future. It's not just about the past, it's about what we can become.
It really is about this destiny of humanity. The Orisha faith is fulfilling its destiny to awaken us and restore harmony between nature, spirit, and society. And the ODC is the engine for that awakening.
I'm thinking about the regional logistics and procurement director again. It's such a small detail, but it says so much. It says that the spiritual can't happen without the practical. You need the candles, you need the herbs, you need the space.
Exactly. If you don't have the herbs, you can't do the healing. If you don't have the space, you can't have the community. The practical is the foundation upon which the spiritual is built.
It's like the Orisha Ogun, the spirit of tools and iron. You need the tools to do the work. The ODC is just a very sophisticated set of tools for a very sacred kind of work.
And when you have the right tools, and you have the right structure, and you have the right intention, well, that's when the magic happens. That's when the ace, the divine power, really starts to flow.
I love that. Ace. It's the power to make things happen. And it seems like the Orisha Divine Council is making things happen on a scale we've never seen before.
They are building a global infrastructure for the soul. It's a massive undertaking, but they have the wisdom of the ancestors and the tools of the modern world to help them.
It's a reminder that we don't have to leave our traditions behind as we move into the future. We can take them with us, and we can make them even stronger and more effective than they were before.
That is the ultimate goal of the ODC, to preserve the integrity of ancestral wisdom while providing the leadership and structure to serve spiritual seekers worldwide.
It's a mission that is both humble and incredibly ambitious. And it's one that I think we can all learn from, no matter what our spiritual background is.
We can all learn from the idea of divine governance, the idea that our organizations and our communities should be built on a foundation of character, balance, and justice.
Well, Selena, I think that is a perfect place to wrap things up. This has been such a fascinating deep dive into the world of the Orisha Divine Council. I feel like I've learned so much.
I'm so glad, Alex. It's a topic that is close to my heart, and I think it's one of the most important developments in the world of global spirituality today.
Before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. If you were to look at your own life or your own work through the lens of divine governance, what would change?
That's a great question, Alex. How can we bring more balance, more justice, and more ace into our daily lives? Maybe it starts with finding our own divine alignment.
I love that. Finding our own alignment. Thank you so much for joining us today, Selena. This has been a truly enlightening conversation.
It was my pleasure, Alex. Thank you for having me, and thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this journey.
And remember, whether you are a seeker, a devotee, or just someone curious about the world, the wisdom of the Orisha is there for all of us. We just have to listen.
Exactly. The voice of the Orisha is not just in the rituals, it's in the wind, the water, and the very structure of our lives. We just have to be open to it.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and as always, stay curious. We'll see you next time on the podcast.
Until then, may your path be clear and your ace be strong. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, and thanks for listening. We hope this episode gave you a lot to think about regarding how we organize our spiritual lives in this modern age.
It's a big world out there, and there are so many ancient traditions that are finding new ways to thrive. The ODC is just one example of that incredible resilience and creativity.
It really makes you wonder what the spiritual landscape of the world will look like in another 50 or 100 years. If the ODC is any indication, it's going to be very well organized.
And very powerful. When we combine the wisdom of the past with the tools of the future, there's no limit to what we can achieve. It's a very exciting time to be alive.
I couldn't agree more, Selena. Thanks again for all your insights. This has been a real highlight for me.
The feeling is mutual, Alex. Let's do it again soon. There's so much more to explore in this world of divine governance and Orisha spirituality.
Absolutely. There are so many more Orishas to talk about and so many more aspects of the Tnti initiative to dive into. But for now, we'll sign off.
Take care, everyone, and don't forget to look for the ace in your own life today.
I love that. Look for the ace. That's our mission for the day. Bye for now.